Okay, so I'm on my jollies today. I'm over the water, so like being in a different country here, Dave. And I'm joined by a man who's started his career at Liverpool. From then, he went on to Tranmere, loan spell at Tranmere. Over to Carlisle for 4 seasons. A few other clubs along the way, and then up to Scotland, to Inverness, Caledonian Thistle. I'm joined today by David Raven. How are you doing, Ravo?
Very well, mate. Thanks for coming over to the nice part, isn't it?
This lovely, lovely.
Yeah, to get through that tunnel, mate, and it's all changing.
Yeah, I'm gonna hit you for that easy tunnel rent for the Open. I can come and rent out your house.
Yeah, happy days, yeah.
Stick me in the shed. So no, but obviously, first and foremost, just wanted to ask you how the season's gone at Warrington so far, because I mean at this moment in time as we speak you're on an 18-match unbeaten run in the playoffs. It's very tight area at the minute in the playoffs, but obviously coming on the back of the playoff final last season when you sort of first come into the role at Warrington. How's it been this season?
It's been great from minute one. I mean the lads have just been fully focused on the task at hand. I just think, I mean, people mention the 18-game unbeaten run. That sort of like crept up on us, and as it's like coaching wise, as the season goes on, you'll touch on things more so in training, what you might be seeing in games. And I've been asked a couple of times, what's the secret? And there's none. There is none.
Yeah.
The secret is hard work.
Yeah.
It doesn't stop. He's constantly working, and if he's not in his day job, he's doing Warrington, and myself with the same. So like spare times at night, we're working on other teams, we're working on our own team, we're planning sections about how we think we're going to get the best out of the team, how we're going to rotate the lads to get the best out of the lads. And it's just been a process. It's got us to a position where we've got it all to do in terms of we've got a lot of tough games ahead of us, but if we do it, we've done it the hard way. And it's going to be very satisfying if we do. But I mean, if we don't, we can obviously hold our hands up and say, I don't think we could have done any more. You'd look back at the season and go, yeah, you'd probably make a different decision there. You'd make this a different decision there, whatever it might be. But in terms of the effort that the lads have put in, that the staff have put in, Canners, Ben, myself, Bees, everybody involved, John, Kitman, to the lads, I don't think we could have done any more. We try and do everything right, try and train right, we try and prepare right, and it's took us to this position now where everything right gives a springboard. We've got a mini season left, and we're all excited. We're just looking at it in a positive way. We're just excited. Let's see where it takes us. Let's keep doing these things. We've always concentrated on things like our performance, knowing that the result looks after itself because you can't control it. It's stuff like little things and. Let's see where it goes.
I think that's important, really, is because it's probably so tight at the top.
Yeah,
that's what spurs everybody on. Not just Warrington, but all the other teams are probably making the other teams better.
Yeah, it is. It's pushing the levels right up. I think from sort of Matlock Marine upwards, it's really tight, and I think it's the best in terms of standard it's been for years, and in fact probably ever. If you think about it, you got lads trickling down. I think even more so now. There's a bit of money flying about in the league, and sort of saying, well, sound I can have a decent job and I can go and play a decent level, and it's made the level improve. Things like VO and the stats we can get now for cheap, it's made the level improve. Standard of coaching's improving, so like it's just getting better and better, and I just think it's gonna be a tough run, and you need a bit of luck. Everybody needs that bit of luck, but it looks like South Shields have done it this year. It's been a long time coming, a few years, and finally looks like they're going to get there. So it's amongst 5 or 6 teams now. Who
fighting it out for them playoff places. Brilliant. And obviously we'll speak more about non-league and Warrington Town as we go on. But starting out at Liverpool as a youngster, with the lads that were there, who was sort of your class, so to speak, at the time, Ravo?
Age group wise was a lad that you'd have probably heard of. Darren Potter went on to have a great career. He's in my age group. A lad called Andy Wright. went to America, came back, played for Scunny and teams in League One. Gilly, who ended up playing at Warrington, Stieg Gillespie, again, good career down at Cheltenham and places like that in Bristol. Let's go through them. Who else is that? Who made a career? Do you know what? I keep myself forget somebody, but that was my age group.
Yeah.
And then when I went up to Melwood, we knocked around as a group. There's like Zach Whitbread and Neil Mellor and John Welsh. Steve Warnock was a little bit older.
Yeah.
But that was me sort of like little group.
Yeah.
Like Mark Smythe. Actually, I forgot to mention him. He had a appearance in the first team for Liverpool. But yeah, that was me class, if you like.
Yeah.
I think when you look at it, my age, probably Darren Potts done the best out of everyone in terms of his career. So yeah, good times.
Was it? Was there sort of a definitive moment where you got? Did anybody come to you and say, Dave, you're up with the first team at Melwood now? Yeah,
there was. Yeah, and it was actually when I was struggling.
Right.
I'd been playing up 2 years, so I was 17. I was playing with the under-19s, and that's when I started playing out at right back, because I was still sort of smaller than the under-19s.
Yeah.
Like Steve McNulty was playing,
right,
Welshie was playing, Zach, and I was playing at right back then, and we had a great side. And it was after that season, I sort of started playing with my own age, and I think I was just demoralised by that. Yeah. And I seen Potts move up, a couple of other lads move up to Melwood, and my forms just started going down, and I was a bit unstimulated. And fair play to John Owens, my coach, he spotted it, and he said, right, we either lose this guy or we push him on. And he pushed me on at a time when I wasn't flying.
Yeah.
But it gave me a new lease of life. It was when Gerard Houllier was the manager, so then that's when I went up.
Yeah.
And it worked. It was good coaching, good management.
How was he with you? Because I listened to, funny enough, I listened to a podcast that TalkSport done the other day, and it was it was Danny Murphy. He was saying that Gerard Houllier was like very, very good with the players, and particularly the younger players. So did you have any sort of dialogue with him at the time where it was
only a little bit?
Right.
Only a little bit, really. Because he was only there for, to be fair, it was the end of the season, and I think Benitez then came in. But yeah, he just seemed like that warm granddad type character. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I had a bit more to do with the reserve team coaches and stuff, and I think it was like Phil Thompson was there because he's you'd say hello to him and stuff. But yeah, I didn't really have that much to do with him, to be honest. Yeah.
No. And then obviously the end of that season was when Rafa came into the job, and obviously you were more integrated more into the first team, obviously, because you made your appearances under Benitez at the time.
I'd started playing well in the reserves. I was getting fitter, stronger, more confident, stuff like this. I was playing well, playing for England, so I was really confident. Excuse me. But time came early on in the season, well, sort of November time, and the Tottenham game was coming up with a few of my mates, like Zach Potts and Welshie, played against Millwall in the League Cup the round before,
right?
And I was a bit disappointed not to go, even just to be part of it. Well, the next round came, it was at Tottenham. I was thinking, right, I've got a bit of a chance here. And as it happened, I broke down on the way to training, and I could. Honestly, mate, I broke down.
The car, you mean?
Car broke down. Car broke
wow.
down. So I was just round the corner from not far from here, and rang the coach. I can't get in. He said, "Listen, get a taxi, get anything you can. You need to get in." It was a Sunday. We were training on a Sunday for the game on a Tuesday, and I was like, "Rang my dad, so you need to get us in. Like, get us in however you can." And then it was then I went in. And I'm like, "Oh, we're shaping up here, and I'm in a team." Do you know what I mean?
So the shape work was with you, innit?
Bit of a giveaway. Said you need to come in because you need to work on stuff. And I was fine. I wasn't nervous and nothing like that. Went down the night before, the day of the game, and we had a sleep in the afternoon and stuff. Fine. And it was only when I got to the ground and I seen there was a White Hart Lane, I was like, oh shit. And then came in and they unveiled their team sheet, and I'm looking at their team sheet on a big board, thinking, oh shit, this is really happening. Started shitting myself a little bit.
So was there no point in that where Benitez pulled you and said, You're playing.
He just read our team, and that was it. You know what I mean? And it might have been, I can't remember. Was it in the day I think it was in a hotel. So I knew I was playing on the way to the game.
Yeah.
So and then when I get to the stadium, you're like, oh god, yeah, this is happening, sort of thing. You look around thinking, And what a stadium, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then you look at, as I said, team sheet, like the foes and Carricks and Ledley Kings and stuff on it, and you're thinking, oh my God.
I've just jotted a few down here of the ones I would actually say, and no disrespect, the Liverpool team on the day was Jerzy Dudek, Stefan Henshaw, Stephen Warnock, David Raven, Zach Whitbread, Salif Diao, Antonio Nunes, Igor Biscan, Darren Potter, Florence Cinema Pongol, bloody hell, forgot about him, and Neil Mellor. And their team contained, I've just wrote sort of 6 or 7 down that obviously people would be aware of. So Paul Robinson, who's probably England #1 at the time, wasn't he? Ledley King, Michael Brown, Michael Carrick, Freddie Canute and Robbie Keane, and then Jermaine Defoe comes on as a sub.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
brilliant.
frightening. 36,000 on as well for a League Cup.
Yeah, it's brilliant. It's shocker. Yeah, it took me about 10-15 minutes to settle in. I was nervous, and once I got settled in, we obviously went into extra time. We just got better and stronger and fitter, and I just didn't want it to stop. Did not want it to stop. And then I was up for next penalty, I think, and then we won. So
I was going to say, it looked and you didn't take a penalty.
No. I put my hand up. I think you put me at the bottom of the list. There you go, Ray, down there. But yeah, it was an unbelievable experience, and I look back now, and it's not that much I can fully remember of it. It's just it seems a bit blurry, a bit of a dream. But yeah, I got a real buzz from it. It gave me man of the match. I think just because I was a young lad and I did quite well in the game, I started getting up and down, the spaces started opening up, and I was fit as a fiddle, so I was just boom, constantly up and down. I got a lot of the ball and made a good tackle against the foe, so he was man of the match. So then there's reports in the papers, I'm going to be the next Rob Jones, I'm going to be next this, and I'm thinking, right, okay, here I go, this is it, right, let's get started. It just didn't quite happen that way.
Yeah. I mean, at the time, I think, one player I've always sort of said was probably one of the most underrated footballers at Liverpool during Rafa Benitez's spell was Steve Finnan.
Yeah.
I mean, he was a fantastic right back. He was 7 out of 10 every week. He'd never let you down. He'd be up and down the line.
He was brilliant. He was ahead of me, and behind him was Josh Smith. So there's 3 of us.
Oh, I forgot about
Josh Smith's in front of me, and I was speaking to Alan Miller, and he was like, "Come on," he said, "push yourself." He said, "Get rid of him. He's up to he's eating pizza. He's got a big ass on him. He's crap." You know what I mean? Yeah. And I was trying, and I tried, and I just could not get to that next level where what was required at Liverpool. Do you know what I mean? It just.
Do you know the guy you just mentioned then? Yeah. Sorry, what was his name?
Alec Miller.
He was the other assistant to Rafa, I'm assuming. There was Paco, wasn't there?
Paco and Alec.
And Alec, was he a Scotsman or something?
He was a Scotsman, yeah. Rangers player.
Yeah. Because would he have been, so after that, you get man of the match, was there anything from Benitez, a pat on the back, or... Because he was do you reckon he was very cold?
I didn't know anything else to compare it to. He's Spanish, isn't he? So he's just still learning the language. And after that, they were talking about getting a new contract signed. He came into me. I was sitting in the physio room in Melwood, and he came and he said, he's just sort of dead straightforward conversation. He said, right. He said, when's your contract up? And I said, next year. He said, right, we'll get you one sorted out. I was like, brilliant, sound. And then a couple of weeks passed, and I said, I've not heard nothing, so I went knocking his door. And went, any news on that new deal? You know what I mean? Thinking. And he said, it's in the pipeline, sign it and shut up.
Right.
And I was like, okay, so I walked out thinking, right, that was
short and sweet.
Yeah. But I just think that was his way, and he just didn't know the language that well.
Yeah.
It's just, I think it was just, let's keep it as simple as I possibly can here. And I didn't find it cold. Just. Yeah, I didn't know. I had nothing to compare him to. So,
that's and the other sort of appearances. So he played again in the infamous Burnley game.
Yeah,
with the Jimmy Traoré on goal. That wasn't it.
Well, that was a leveler. The pitch was a bog.
Was it?
Leveler.
Yeah.
Oh, we couldn't move on it. We could hardly stand up on it. It'd been called off over the weekend or the week before because it was waterlogged and all that.
Yeah.
And we probably should have just got a draw and gotten back to Anfield, and Jimmy decides to Cruyff one into the back.
What was he doing there?
I don't know. It was mad, wasn't it?
Absolute nuts.
It was just after that, though, you think this is probably it now. And he just said, Benitez said in the change room afterwards, he said, you young lads probably won't play again now. That was your chance and you've blown it.
Right.
So we were a bit disappointed on that.
And it was just as frank as that,
Yeah, he said, you've blown it, that was your chance.
Cheers, Jimmy. Yeah. Nice one, mate. Could have played at Anfield. Any chance of that contract, boss?
Oh God.
Yeah, and then did you have but you made your Premier League debut against Southampton.
Again, I just played in games that, like, at the time we were going through a bit of a spell. I played against Crystal Palace in the League Cup again, or was it? It must have been.
League Cup semi-final, was it?
I can't remember what it was, but it was in a cup. And again, we got beat again. I'm like, bloody hell. That would have been the next year, probably. You know, we had a good team out. I was only one of a couple, so it was myself and Zach probably played, and Darren. But then we had Stevie G, Didier Mann, Barros playing.
Wow.
We had all the first team out.
Yeah.
And we went and get beat by Palace, and I'm thinking, this ain't going well, you know what I mean? And Stevie G was just head and shoulders, like he was dragging the team forward at that point.
Yeah.
But I just can't have enough words to describe how good he was.
Yeah.
And then around the changing room how good he was as well. But
I don't think that sort of gets mentioned enough, really, because people sort of see, when they talk about Steven Gerrard as a captain, they sort of say, oh, he leads by example. But I think it's probably a bit unfair, because nobody's ever come out and said, you know, how good he was in the dressing room or sort of off the pitch, away from it. But
he was great with the young lads. He was great with me. And it's not as if he came over and we made great mates, but I just remember having that bit of support from him, pat on the back.
Yeah.
A little good luck today, I'm with you sort of thing. And I'm like, right.
There's actually a picture on Google.
Oh, well, he's having a go.
Like, was he?
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Just conceded, yeah.
Oh, I actually thought to myself,
I remember what it was. I remember very clearly before we conceded, I ran over to the touchline and I stopped because I thought, I can't keep that ball in play. And they've got a throw in and crossed it and they've scored. And he's come over and he's raging, like, can you not have kept that ball in play? So I think that it looks like he's put an arm around me, but he's having a go at me.
You're right. Yeah, fair enough. It's Steven Gerrard, and it's like, so, and then obviously, like, you've had sort of your taste of the first team and that, and then not long after that, so to speak. Sorry, probably cut out a bit there. You know, the end of that season, Liverpool go and win the Champions League, probably one of the greatest nights in the club's history still. You know, the way that they won it and everything, but you were around the team obviously at that time, and that you travelled to Istanbul, didn't you?
Yeah, we flew over on like the sort of second bus, if you like, with the reserves, you know what I mean, the lads who weren't in the squad, and we again stayed at the hotel, went to the game, got on the pitch after the game in the changing room and stuff like this. It was great. And then flew back, and when we flew back, again we were on a different plane and the plane was delayed. So the first team, the lads who played and all that, like straight on the parade bus and went around the city.
Right.
And they didn't wait for the likes of myself, Mella, like Chris Kirkland and people like that who played. Like, I hadn't touched the ball in the Champions League, so I wasn't bothered. But a few people had big contributions, you know what I mean?
I think Chris had played a couple of games, hadn't he, in the earlier rounds?
Warnock had played, even Pongold had played, and they left without them.
Wow.
And so they seen their arse and they jumped in the cars and they left.
You can understand it.
Yeah. So me and Potts were, let's hang around, because we're meeting they're now our wives, they're our girlfriends then.
Yeah.
We're meeting them in town. Anyway, for a night out, we're going to go to the after party and all this. And someone ran in and said, do you want to get on the bus? We said, yeah, we want to get on the bus. Yeah, they said, they'll get yourself to Queen's Drive, jump on the bus. So got ourselves to Queen's Drive, dived on the bus. Next we're on the bus doing a tour, and it was brilliant. Oh, it was unbelievable.
I was outside St George's Hall when you got to there.
Oh, were you?
Yeah. I remember my dad took me, and my dad's a Man United fan.
Oh, really? Yeah.
So, but he took me, like, because he said, like, you know, you need to. This might not happen again, like, you know, and. Yeah. I think just the way that they won it and everything was just like... Yeah,
it's just amazing, wasn't it? Yeah.
You know,
I had nothing to do with that. I always say, people mention it to me now, I was just a fan then. And I was like, I didn't know.
It makes me laugh. I've heard quite a few, when they've interviewed Liverpool players or so on and so forth, and they've said, what did Rafa say at half time? And you know, you've been in enough. There is nothing any manager can tell you.
It tells you a story. It brings on Data Man so we don't get beat 4.
Yeah,
that's what it was.
That's what it was. It
wasn't to get 3 marks. It's just so we don't get beat 4 and 5.
And the other one that gets thrown out there is about Harry Keel when he was like running after the. Now you've got to understand. You just won the Champions League. Whatever sort of. You know,
there's a difference between being able to play elite football and then have a little job after something. Do you know what I mean?
Of course,
if you can't play elite football, like
Plus, you know, I just don't get that. But obviously, each to their own, having opinions and that. But the sort of time comes when you've got to make a decision. You have a loan spell at Tranmere,
Yeah.
Which I suppose was local enough for you, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was alright. Big learning curve. Because I went and I wasn't fit. I'd got injured playing for reserves, and I like tweaked my medial. And when I went, they'd already agreed the deal and all this, and it was for the rest of the season. But they were like, "Listen, we're paying you wages. We need you to play." So it was like popping painkillers, and it wasn't right. It wasn't right for the I didn't really do myself justice, I don't think. But it was such a big learning curve, like going into. Basically, we went into a relegation dogfight.
Yeah.
Mike Jackson now, like up at Burnley, he was a centre half, and I'm at Liverpool, so he's getting the ball, I'm making an angle to receive it, and he's going, "No, see you later." Boom, boom, getting it out the bottom roads. Then my debut, what was it? I think it was Notts Forest at home. It was great, you know what I mean? Chris Commons against me, and I thought, right, this is proper. This. So it was a massive learning curve in terms of men's football.
Yeah,
fighting for points. And then it came back. All me mate, I was desperate to go and play because my peers at the time. So I was playing within the England teams, and obviously the lads who was with the young lads at Liverpool were all then playing first team football. I think Darren went to Southampton, Zach went to Millwall. I was playing with the lads in the England team who played 50 games in the Champ. I was miles behind, so I'm like, I need to go and play. And I had a year left on my contract, and Carlisle came in. I thought, well, yeah, let's go, up and coming. It seemed right. It moved me away from the area, which I was quite happy with. Although it was really tough to get away and stand on my own 2 feet and all that. But again, massive learning curves for me. So after sort of 4, 5, 6 months at Carlisle, I'd settled in, and it was a really shaky start there because I was away from home, I was homesick, all that. I became, sort of regular.
Who was the manager who took you in there, Dave?
Well, it was Paul Simpson, and he left to go to Preston, and then Neil MacDonald came in. Neil MacDonald was brilliant. I know Bees worked with him as well, so he was great. I loved him.
And worked as assistant, didn't he, to Big Sam for a bit?
Yeah, he was. And then he went and took the Carlisle job. Yeah. He just had too much to say to the wrong people. Right. He was going into the boardrooms saying too much. I think, by all accounts, he got sacked when we were 7th in the league. And then a year after we should have gone up, it was great times. We had a great team, Danny Graham and Joe Garner and Westwood and people like that in our
people
team.
Who've gone had big careers like in the Prem. Yeah.
So we had a top team. We got beaten in the semi-final against Leeds in the playoffs, and that was great memories for me. Like proper, like fighting for stuff at the top of League One was great. I loved it. Yeah. For 4 years, and then hip injury came along and knocked me out for a couple of years, which I had a hip arthroscopy, but kept me out for sort of 6 months. That operation, I was getting shooting pains all sorts down my leg, and I thought my career was done at that point. Surgeon saved it, but then I kept breaking down, kept pulling muscles. I needed injections and stuff like this. I'm like, wow, fucking, I'm done here. Went to Tranmere, couldn't only do 20 games. Went to Shrewsbury, could only manage 25. I think, well, I'm done. Out of the blue, Terry Butcher rings and up I go to Inverness. But I mean, that period of my career, that 2 years, it was like that was dark. It was tricky. It was, it was like I went.
You must have gone to some levels there where you're thinking, right.
Yeah. I know, tell you.
Questioning.
Like, my wife, she used to come home like from work. You know, what have you been doing? What have you been up to? I'm like, what do you think I've been up to? Like, been sitting here all day, like, my hip. And I look back now, and I was a right tit. But then, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But you go through it, you don't realise, do you?
Yeah.
It was a tricky time. I did a few courses there in plumbing and stuff like that, thinking, right, my career's done here. No one's going to take me because I can't stay fit. And then when I went to Scotland, I was just out of the blue, and I didn't have any choice. I just went. I had to go. If I need to continue with this, I need to go. And it properly excited me as well. Yeah. Big like clubs up there, and I was really excited to go and work with Terry Butcher as well. And
I was going to say that. I mean, somebody who's played like World Cups and
big pull for lads.
Not only that, I mean, I know a lot of people sort of. If you said to sort of somebody now, a 25-year-old, about Terry Butcher, the first thing they'd probably say is about the bandage around his head and the blood pouring out of it. But he was a top player, wasn't he? And
he's top draw.
Every time I've sort of heard him get interviewed, he seems like somebody that I totally wouldn't want to get on the wrong side of.
Oh no, you don't want to get on the wrong side of him, mate. I've seen him do some stuff.
Have you?
Oh smash changing rooms up terrible. Yeah. Oh yeah, ranting, raving, throwing things around. Like punting. Every away place you go to, be like, Ravo, look at that. I said, see that door there, I ripped it off last year, or see the hole in the wall there, I said that was me, I punched it, and I'm thinking, he's one of them.
Yeah.
But it gave me a lease of life. And I think what it was in Scotland was because it was Saturday international break, Saturday.
Give you that rest to get yourself right.
Yeah, so then before I knew, I'd done 40 games.
Right.
I was like, right, I'm back up and running.
Yeah.
And then that went on from strength to strength again. So
yeah. And obviously one of the sort of big talking points from that was the Scottish League Cup semi-final. So
the Scottish Cup
Cup
well,
semi-final.
Yeah, we'd lost the League Cup final the year before. Got into the final, went to Celtic and drew with Aberdeen on penalties, and drew with Aberdeen and got beat on penalties. And I was so confident. I thought we'll do this again. It's not a problem. We were up there with the Celtics and Aberdeens at that point.
Yeah,
nobody was pushing because Rangers winning the league.
Yeah, they dropped to the third division, hadn't they, at the time?
Yeah, I mean, we went there and we beat them convincingly and stuff. Like, wow, do you know what I mean? And,
yeah.
But then we were on the coattails for. We should have finished second that year. I think Motherwell did. We just ran out of steam. It's such a small squad. But yeah, and then we pulled Celtic in a Scottish Cup semi.
Yeah.
And again, we were just super excited for us, like super confident. We were properly prepared. I learned a lot that week. So that week building up to Celtic, we had a manager, John Hughes, and he pulled us all in the change room. He said, right lads, we're going to do it one or two ways. Usually people like sit off Celtic, they let them have the ball, and you know, we'd done it in the past and been battered and stuff, so we're going to go after them. I was like, right, sound. Do you want to do it? He said, we're either going to win or we're going to get beat 5-0. And we were like, no, we're going after them. We want to go after them. Right, sound. So we did all week. We were shaping up. I mean, they had some top players in the team. And we did. We went after them toe to toe with them, and God beat them. I mean, they got a man sent off. Craig Gordon got sent off.
Goalkeeper.
But that was not after we were holding our own with 11 men and giving them as good as we got. I think it was 1-1 at that point. And and then with the 10 men, we were good for a win. And it was when I scored the goal, the last minute of the game of extra time, it was just the biggest buzz I've ever had in terms of a moment.
If you could write it down how you want
a
goal to go, it's like when they can't score again, in it basically. And I mean, not only that, you look at that Celtic team at the time, like you say, Craig Gordon, Virgil van Dijk, the lad who played for Everton for a bit, he was there, wasn't he, on the wing?
Forrest, was it? James Forrest was on the wing, and Scott Brown was playing.
Scott Brown was in there.
They had a star-studded.
It was a good team. But to win it like that, I think if you can write our win is that. If somebody could say to you, what I would, if I can give you something, a win in a game, how would you like it? Always last minute.
You dream about stuff like that.
Yeah.
That's what you do. You dream about it, and you dream about it since you were like however old, 3, 4, 5 years old. And I think it was probably a culmination of all that thinking about it, because I did dream about it, and I used to do I got a lot into me like sort of preparing my mind. So I used to like do a lot of mental sessions before games, and even in the week, mind training for myself. Like it helped me at that time when I was struggling with my hip. So I carried it on, like meditation stuff and visualizations and stuff. And they're the sorts of things I would replay in my mind constantly. So when we got to the sort of, I'd replayed this in my mind that many times, it became real to me. And I was, at the end of the game, I'm thinking, it doesn't work like this. I know I scored the winner. And I was convinced I scored the winner in this game. I know I scored. And I was telling myself this at the end of extra time. Yeah. And then when I scored the winner, I still got the amazing thrill from it, and I still had to keep my emotions down. I felt like crying and everything. But after the game, I didn't tell anybody this. And after the game, I rang my wife. She wasn't there. She was up looking after me little girl who'd just not long been born. And I said, I knew I was going to score. I just couldn't tell anyone because I didn't want to jinx it. Yeah. I knew I was going to score. And it was the weirdest. I've never had it again. I don't know if I'll have it since. But it was the weirdest thing in the world. And maybe it was just a culmination of constantly replaying these things in your mind and it manifested. I don't know, but
I wouldn't mind though as well. It wasn't an easy finish, was it? When you actually, I watched it back and the camera behind the goal gets it, and there's like,
it's quite tight, isn't it?
It's very tight. It's probably an inch in from the post.
Yeah, it's quite tight.
And I think there was a man coming in. You've probably got, let's have it right. You're not like renowned for your goal scoring now, you do.
Let's talk about it. So that was good. Yeah, very good. And then missed the final. Then I got a dead leg in a game after in the league, and then decided to try and push myself and train on it. Ended up ripping the muscle. So
Right.
These people who talk about you can train on dead legs, you can't. Like, you got to treat them with a bit of respect.
Yeah.
So yeah, I've ripped my calf, and I've still got like a dint in it now. So it was a bad injury, yeah, and I missed the final. But I'd had my moment, you know what I mean? I'd had like, and the fans still talk about it now, and it's nice, and it's still a nice memory. So that was, if I hadn't had my moments, I probably would have been so disappointed. But yeah, that's fine.
What was it like though? I know, sort of once you win together,
yeah,
it, even though you're injured,
you're
brilliant. Part of the group and part of what's been created. I mean, that must have, I'm sure in saying this, would have felt 10, 15 times better than getting on that coach, you know, with the Liverpool team, achieving something that you've actually really played your part in.
100%. I say that all the time. Yeah, the Liverpool stuff is like it's right further down me stuff of achievements. Whereas getting on that bus after we won the Scottish Cup was one of the best things in the world.
Yeah.
You know, we've really grafted for this, and we've done it together and created something like properly special, and that's like right up there with any achievement.
Yeah, and sort of as am I right in saying that you wanted to sort of go more into the coaching at Inverness? I read that one. We were obviously because I know you anyway, but doing a bit of the research for the podcast, they were in sort of a bit of financial instability, and we got relegated a couple of years later, and that was like amazing. It seemed like that it was just, I mean, there's reasons for that I'm not going to go into, but at that point I was sort of being proactive really. I was getting to 30 thinking, right, I'm really interested in this. I really enjoy like the coaching side. I've been doing the youngsters, the 13s, and when I've done my B licence and A licence with the SFA, it was great. So yeah, that was always on my mind, and always a pathway I wanted to go into. I was researching things, and I wanted to study the psychology of sport and stuff, and I was like, just bang into it, and that was my route. That was like, right, that's really where I want to go. And then when it came to an end in Inverness, with, as you say, there was financial difficulties, we've been relegated and stuff, I thought, well, I need to just find me. I could have gone somewhere else in Scotland. There was a couple of clubs wanted to sign me in Scotland, and I think I just needed to settle down. I didn't want to move the wife and kids again. It becomes that, like, how long are we going to do this for? Another year. So we came back down here to where we are now. I'd had this house and we'd rented it out, and we luckily, you know, from years ago, so we came here and thought, well, I found my feet, and it wasn't easy. You know, I finished up at Wrexham, then I joined Wrexham for the rest of the season, and then. Bet you wish you'd joined them now.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
The money they've got.
Well, he wouldn't touch me now, would he? But yeah, that was that, and ended up going to Warrington after that.
And that's something obviously I'm really interested in, and I said it on Saturday when I was at the Warrington match. I'm really interested in sort of your transition into non-league. Not just obviously going to the coaching side of it, but you transition into non-league from training every day. Like you're saying, you've come from Scotland where you're playing most Saturdays, and then you come into that non-league environment where you're playing on a Saturday, training Tuesday, Thursday, or you're playing on a Saturday, playing on a Tuesday.
It's constant. It's 24/7.
Yeah. How was that? Because there was like yourself and Mark Roberts at the time who come from that background, and I know there was other pros as well who come to Warrington at the time. But how was that? Them first.
It's tough. Yeah, it's tough. I met Robert when we were up at Fylde. We went on trial at Fylde, and he had us up there for like 3 weeks, and ended up then saying thanks very much, but we don't want you, which I thought was awful. Like Dave Challoner, I'll always remember it. And after that, then everyone's like, well, no, we've got a right back now sorted, because I knew I was far easily capable of still playing in the league at that point. I was 33.
Do you know what? On that, I think that's one of the most scandalous things ever, and I hear it so much on different podcasts where these managers keep people around for the whole of pre-season, rather than making a decision early doors in the first couple of games or whatever, so that they can go and get fixed up.
Especially someone that age. It's not as if you're looking at them to see what the quality is like. You're looking at a lad who's 33 or 34, whatever, saying, well, he's had a good career, I'm just seeing if he's fit, because he's obviously been capable to play at the level required. I mean, it was a lower level. I think the Fylde were in the conference, so things work out, like, you know, turn out in the wash anyway, don't they? And well, I was speaking. I had this sort of agent guy working with me at the time, and I knew Jack Dunny. He was saying cards has been on to me, come to Warrington Town. I just thought to myself, right, why don't we just do that? Go there and start trying to make inroads into coaching and do it that way. And that's what I did. So we ran cards. And he said, "Yeah, come down." So we ended up signing for Warrington. At that point, I was fit as a fiddle, like flying, like, and I found like the standard like really easy. I remember coming off thinking, I need to do some box to boxes here because this is like.
I remember when I was at Marine and you Warrington played us, and you and Robbo were at the back, and you could have got. When I say you could have got cigar and slippers out, you literally could have got...
There were games like that. Because we were still full-time.
Through it.
Well, we still had our full-time fitness and quality there, and then eventually that starts moving away as you go to Tuesday, Thursday, and then work came up for me where I couldn't make a Thursday, and that became more and more difficult. But then the transition itself, it's the same game, right? You're playing the same game, you're playing football, but it's just sometimes it's a different planet. Like lads' mindset's completely different. It's changing now. I think that's why it's getting better and better. We try and do myself and Bees try and bring in some of our sort of like mindsets to the group here, because professional football is a mindset, and I think a lot of the lads that especially we have, I look at like there's lads in our team now and think technically miles better than I was. But is the mindset there to go and do it every week and really push themselves to the limit and then beyond? That's what professionals do, week in, day out. And so that was difficult for me to understand. It was difficult for me to get my head around, like, why can't you do that? Are you just not good enough? Or you're not fit enough? Or have you been working all day and you're just knackered? Because there's that element. You've got to work. You know what I mean? So I really struggled with that. I found like I was nearly blowing my top sometimes in training, in games, thinking like, how can't you see what I can see here? But then as time goes on, you just need to get that out of the way and think, well, I spoke to Jay Harris about this, and I've said to him, you're in a position where it's quite privileged, where actually you end up teaching players, and you need to sort of spin it on its head and think, well, all right, what can I help them with now? What can I teach them? What can I, how can I bring their game on? And I ended up looking at it a bit like that.
Paul Sculthorpe said something very similar last week, and he said, when he first went into coaching, he said like an experienced coach pulled him and basically said, like in the nicest possible way, just remember that you're not coaching you. Like they aren't at the level that or you might have been. And I think particularly Jay, I've seen a couple of times where he looked more frustrated at times where he's like,
he does,
it's like, why can't you pass that ball? Like, it's like...
why you're running that way and why you're running that. And we try and do educate lads as best we can, and but there are little things. And the hardest thing I found coming out of football was obviously financially, it was really tough. I came out of footy, I thought like, sort myself out, our bills are like really low, all the rest of it. I could not find work. Anywhere.
Okay.
I got to the point where I was looking for van jobs, Argos, couldn't get them, stuff like this. So obviously Warrington was paying me like a small amount, you know what I mean? But I've got a family of 4, you know what I mean? With a wife and 2 kids. I couldn't make ends meet, and it was costing me thousands and thousands, and it was just become more and more demoralising. I remember for 6 months coming out of the game, the first 6 months, looking for work, looking for jobs, looking for coaching roles, couldn't get any. I'm A licence and all that, couldn't get a job. Wow. I can't remember some stuff. My missus says to me about my little boy, do you remember when he did that? I'm like, nah, can't remember. For like 6 months I can't remember stuff. And it must be I've just repressed the memories or something, or I was just going through a time when I remember feeling angry, very, very, very angry all of the time. Never did anything about it, I never shouted, never did anything, like any mad stuff or anything. I remember walking the kids to school, saying to me, what am I doing? Like, what am I doing? It was the wrong thing to be saying. It was the weirdest time. Really hard time, and you don't get anywhere near enough support with it. No. You support the lads in 20, 21, 22, which is great, fine. What about the boys who are 34, 35? They've got kids, they've got mortgages and stuff. That was tough. That's what I found.
And what we're saying is basically, these aren't necessarily Premier League footballers who've picked up tens of thousands of pounds a week.
No.
These are your lads that have,
you need to work.
Had to work and needed each monthly pay.
Yeah, but on the flip side of that, I actually also, the fact that I needed to work, you make a couple of quid, you don't make enough. So you need to work, right? But I also like the fact that it gets you out of bed, it drives you. See, if you didn't have to work, there's so many lads that fall down a rabbit hole of like doing the wrong thing. Kev McNaughton, we played with him up in Inverness. What a guy, great lad. Had a great career down at Cardiff, Scotland, all that, playing in the Premier League. He's fallen into the trap of, I've got no goal, I've got no reason to get up in the morning. He started drinking and stuff, and one thing led to the other, and now he's brilliant. Fair play to him. He's come out and he's done a few bits on social media and Sky about helping ex-pros and stuff. I actually count myself lucky that I had to work and get up and go and do something and have a drive and have a purpose and have a goal.
They say, don't they, to try and... I mean, I remember hearing Jamie Carragher say he was told when he was retiring, fill your diary. Have something like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Have something religiously that gets you up, or a routine, or something.
Cards was brilliant with me for that. Adam,
was he?
And his brother Adam. They got me work. Because I was like, I'll do anything. I would have done, and I still do. I'll do anything for work. I'm not interested. I'm not like snob for work. Adam was like, "Do you want some work?" I said, "Yeah, give us it. Give us it if you want." He said, "Would you do this?" I said, "I'll do that. Yeah, 100%." Started doing surveys for him and driving everywhere, doing all this stuff. And Adam was great. Couldn't thank him enough for that. And Cards as well, because he knew. Cards is ex-player and he knew. So they were great with it in that sense. So no, that was that really. That's how,
And then obviously you've had a successful period at Warrington, and then you move on to Marine, albeit for a short period, but probably the most successful period in the club's history, because you go on a great FA Cup run, and then pull out Tottenham out the hat in the FA Cup third round.
I know. I thought all them days were done. And again, at that point, I started playing really well again, and loved the group of lads. Absolutely loved it. I loved playing for Marine. Loved playing for Youngie and Morgs, and absolutely brilliant. It was up there the best times of my career. It really was, really, because as well we were going through lockdown and we were able to continue. We had this run going, so we were like, everybody else is stuck at home, but we were still able to get out, and it was brilliant. When going down to Colchester, beating them like convincingly, Chester, and then having to Waterlooville, you're thinking, wow, this is amazing, and then next minute Tottenham, thinking, the only thing we're disappointed about is there's no crowd left. I mean, I think the lockdown happened again the week before, 2 weeks before, shut everything down again.
Because they were wanting to switch the fixture, weren't they? At one point, I remember Max telling me.
And I said to the lads, I should play down there. I said, no, we'll get beat 12-0, guys. Like, there'll be no one there.
In an empty arena.
So what's the point? What's the point? I'd rather play in our place, dig up the pitch, have a little go again, you know what I mean? But, as it happened, we gave them the big changing room, and we went into the small one, because I
didn't know that. Did you just give them...
We kicked up a fuss, as players. We were like, what are we doing? Don't bend over. Listen, they don't like our changing room. We don't care. We're in this one. So anyway, as players, we kicked up a fuss, but we sort of bent over to accommodate them a little bit. And I would have trained on the pitch every single day leading up to it as well, by the way.
And I tell you what, by the way, they are very lucky, because they probably thought, we're coming to the pits. But nice. Marine's dressing rooms are top drawer, aren't they? Like, I mean, they were the old...
Well, they used the bar.
Did they? Yeah. Oh, right.
Yeah. So we were using the bar because of COVID. So you have to spread out your chairs, don't you?
Yeah.
And then they came in because they had loads of staff. So we said, we'll move into the changing room. You go to use the bar. And we were like, hang on, come on. Do you know what I mean?
So they ended up having two...
Well, I did an interview at the time in a paper, and it was building up to the game. And I was like, I would make it as uncomfortable as I possibly could for them. I'd turn Eaton up full blast. I'd do all the non-league stuff that you do. I'd run the pitch. I'd do all that stuff, because at the end of the day, we are light years behind these guys. And I mean light years. Do you know what I mean? So why don't we give ourselves a little bit of an advantage, at least by pissing them off?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Don't roll out the red carpet for
Definitely.
them. That's what I would do. And they did it differently, but...
And obviously it was Jose Mourinho's Tottenham at the time.
Yeah.
But he played his own little mind game in it, didn't he, I believe?
Yeah. Well, he came in to see Germano Mendes, because he's from Portugal, and give him a t-shirt and all that. And I was out the dressing room at the time, and one of the lads came and said, did you see Mourinho just come in and all this? And I'm thinking, fucking fucking hell, it's become a bit of a circus, this. And then I walk into the change room, and the lads are talking, oh, he's tall, and he didn't think he was that big, and fucking blah, blah, all this. So I'm like, right, we're going to get stuffed badly here. So I went out to see...
Caught in the headlights a bit.
Yeah, so I went out to see Youngie, and I said to him, you need to come in here, you need to speak to lads. And he said, why? I said, they're getting a little bit like starstruck, if you like. I said, these are our enemy today.
Yeah,
we can have the shirt after.
Yeah.
And I said, if we don't focus that it's a game, Gaffer, we're going to get done 12-0 here. Do you know what I mean? And he said, no, you're right. He came in, he gave a great speech. And sorted the lads' heads out and stuff, and then I thought we did all right on the night. So
definitely.
Yeah, it was a great night. And after that, I pondered retiring. I pondered finishing it. I didn't know when I was going to start again with the COVID and all that. I didn't know I'd be able to. My body really started to I'm feeling it now. Painkillers all the time. I had been for a few years, but I'm probably taking too many painkillers now to get me through games, and too much caffeine and stuff. A lot of caffeine, and and then I carried on, and then I got obviously a phone call, and it was the right time to move on and get into the coaching world, and I needed to make the move. It was like I'm feeling it now. Do you know what I mean? And it was a tough one. It was a really tough one because of I love Marine, I love Youngie and everyone out there, but I also knew what opportunity was in front of me, and I wanted it. I wanted to go and work with bees, and I wanted to build something. I wanted to be part of that process of training, of building a team, of trying to create a culture, an atmosphere, all this sort of stuff. I thought about it for years and years. Yeah. I've read books on it. I want to get my teeth into it. You know what I mean? And
a club that you were familiar with anyway.
Exactly. And as it happens, I look around all these different clubs. There's just myself and bees and Canners. We do everything pretty much. The partner, Canners obviously the goalie coach, but myself and Bees pretty much do the whole
Ben
lot.
doesn't do much, does he?
Nothing, does he, mate? Yeah. So in that sense, I've learned a lot, mate. These last 18 months, and it's been great. It's been one of the best things I've done.
Yeah, and leaving Marine, obviously we've got to speak about the statement that was put out at the time, which, I know everybody can have their opinions, but I thought was poor. But I just wanted to sort of get your take on it, because I know at the time you wanted it more than anyone to just be a smooth transition. You were going from being a player to being. It wasn't as though they were gaining a player.
No, because I'd said I'm not gonna play again. I just want to move on in my career. As I spoke to you before about transition from full time to part time and stuff, it was always on my mind. If something came up, then I want to take it, and I knew it. And I don't think anybody in the club understood apart from Alan Morgan. Alan Morgan had been an ex-player, and I spoke to him about it, and he was like, get it, 100%. You go with my blessing. I'd let it go straight away. But he dug the heels in. He wanted me to stay because he was desperate to get up, and he got it. It's fine. I was still playing well. But they had no idea what my body was going through. I couldn't walk down the stairs in the morning sometimes with the little fella. I literally couldn't get down the stairs because my Achilles was that sore and stuff. So it was a way out of that for a start. And then I tried to explain the nature of football to them in terms of, it's not as if you do an accountancy thing and you work your way up. And you need to take opportunities when they come. And I thought, this is the one I need to take. So when he put out a statement, I thought, wow, for all I've done, I've put my body on the line. I've been playing with bruised ribs. I've been playing with this. You don't tell anyone, but you just do it. You just pull yourself up and do it. I thought it was a bit tasteless. Yeah, I was a bit disappointed, to say the least. But then I spoke to James since, and it's been smoothed over. I've seen him a couple of times, and Paul as well. Yeah, but it's one of them things, a bit of a drama out of nothing. It was a storm in a teacup, and it's all forgotten about now.
That's his fish and chip paper, innit? A few weeks later, and
exactly,
they move on and you move on.
For me, it was just I wanted it to be, thanks for everything, Pat, about thanks very much, because my final days of football, I was a little bit didn't see it being like this. It felt really, and I still feel not 100% right about it, because of what I had to do to get the opportunity. But do you know what? Life moves on, and
yeah,
you know what I mean.
And then you've come and looked after the big man.
That's it, mate. Yeah.
I
know, it's nice to see you doing this, mate. You're doing a great job, eh?
I know. Yeah. Well, we're enjoying it, and it's. I think it's getting there. So people, I know. Like I said, I found it. I found it relatively easy when I said at the end of the season, I'm thinking I'm going to go and do something else and go and play my golf and stuff.
That's what you're going to do.
And then when you notice that your handicap's not improving, and You're thinking,
stop. It's the ailmate afterwards.
I know, that's it. That's one of the biggest problems. But I was sort of trying, obviously, finish a podcast off with a few questions and everything. And obviously, throughout your career, I thought this would be a very interesting one. Was best and worst managers. So, I mean, I don't want you falling out with anyone, Dave. But
best and worst managers. Good job no one listens to this podcast. I don't know. There's been a few that, like, you think, if I could mix you two together, you'd be in the Premier League. So, John Hughes, his coaching at Inverness was some of the best coaching I've ever had. Mixed with man management of, I don't know, Terry Butcher and even Neil MacDonald to a point. Put them together, bang, you probably got Mourinho, you know what I mean? They were that good. They were brilliant. They were just missing elements. Like John Hughes was missing that man management element massively, but his coaching and his way he thought about the game and the way he got us playing, amazing. Inverness manager. Worst ones? I don't know. Do you know, I haven't had many.
Actually, I think people, when I'm going to ask this, they're probably looking for someone who's died or something, so they're not going to upset them if they ever hear it.
Yeah. Well, I've actually liked all of him managers. Bar. I knew him for a very small amount of time was Ronnie Moore, and just the way he treated me when he came into Tranmere.
Oh, right,
really poor.
Yeah.
He sort of he's just like treat me like a doormat. I was like, do you know what, mate? I'm not like, I can't stay. He was just and other lads love him. But my experience of him was like, he'd given me no respect whatsoever in terms of where my future is and what's going on and stuff like that. So I didn't really take to him, didn't like him very much. He was late in, he was like,
fast.
Yeah, he was coming in like 9 o'clock, 9:30. He was a little lads early, but it's not for a football club, mate.
No.
You should be in here sorting yourself out, sorting the team out. So, you know what I mean? Your sessions out. So
some of these have like a swagger because they've won
maybe
a couple of leagues, and it's like...
Well, he told me as well before, I'd met him, in fact, when he came into Tranmere, I'd actually met him on the M62, one of the services there, and he was a Rotherham manager at the time.
Right.
He's like, I'll sign you. Oh, sign you, yeah, brilliant. He just had nothing else, amazing, and he just like dropped it like a stone. I'm like, and then just didn't answer his phone, didn't answer his text, and all that. So I thought that's a bit weak, innit?
Yeah.
Little things like that.
I think the most thing that footballers are looking for, whether the answers they're gonna like or answers they're not gonna like, is honesty.
It's just honesty. You don't have to agree with it.
Yeah.
But at least you know where you stand.
You know
what I mean?
And I was saying, obviously, I know he does a bit of the scouting for you at Marine. And I've spoke to Tommy a few times about it. He said, sometimes you know that the decisions that you're going to make are being unpopular, but if you're honest with them and upfront with them,
they have to accept it. You have to, You have no choice, you have to accept it.
Yeah.
Whether you agree with it or not. And that's the way forward. And I think Bees is really good at that.
I think, to be honest with you, I honestly have to say that a lot of credit has to go to Toby in the situation when Paul left to go to Telford. It would have been very easy because a lot of Northern Premier League clubs, and you know yourself, the manager goes and then the backroom staff, like, let's have it right, Paul wasn't sacked. Paul got an opportunity that he felt was better for him at that time, and I thought it was very, very good of Toby to not rip it up, bring in a load of fresh thing. The only person that came in was yourself, and things, small changes.
Toby doesn't like anyone, that's why. He likes Bees.
He didn't like Canners when I seen him on Saturday night.
He won't have anyone else. I think Bees has got a contract for life now.
Yeah, but I do think there were small changes. There was nothing. I would say this when people say, they said, what was Bees like when he come in? And I say, there was nothing that you'd say, well, that's drastic.
Yeah, you can't change something mid-season anyway. And
no.
Bees knows that. He's been on the clock enough to know
but
that.
You see a lot of managers and their ego runs away with them.
Oh, yeah.
And all of a sudden, right, we're not training at that time, we're training at that time, just to prove a point.
Yeah.
Everything sort of has ran smoothly. How do you see, just to obviously like finish us off, but how do you see the club being set up now, running into these games? But if they were, and we're talking totally hypothetically, but if they were to progress, do you think there's things behind the scenes that can make you to be ambitious to push on again. And
no, there is, yeah. And we speak to Toby, and obviously all the time, and there are things there. This is a really big thing for the club at this part of the season now. I actually think if we do end up, I'd never like to speak about it really, but we've got a squad and a quality there to kick on again and again. It happens a lot, doesn't it, with teams? You get that momentum and stuff, but we just need to get over that line. But there is, the potential here. We've always said about the potential in Warrington, so that big club, and I think that's now more than ever. We can kick it on. You've
got probably, and obviously we're speaking sort of in the aftermath of you winning 4-0 away at Morpeth the other night. Have I got that right?
Yeah,
Morpeth.
yeah.
I always get Morpeth and Mars mixed up. And then obviously I was at the game Saturday when you played Liver's Edge. But it's just, without sounding cliche and everything, you dropped on a way of winning that game and just, and I actually thought what was quite good to watch was how you can change things up in each position. So you brought Jordan Buckley off and brought Josh Amos on. Jordan Buckley is the polar opposite to Josh. Jordan's quick, gets in behind, can score goals.
Well, Josh can't do any of that.
Josh, I've got to speak to him on Monday as well.
Lying at a minute, tell you.
But what I'm saying is, Josh is renowned for, backing into centre halves, bullying them, hustling them. But you change that, ball goes in the box, and Mossy scores a brilliant header. Even in the wide areas, I thought you had different options. You had different options that could change a game. And
although it's a smaller squad, it is full of quality. Each one of them can play. We've reiterated it to them constantly, saying that you might not play this week, but you will next week, and you'll be massive for the running. And we have been massive all season. And I think eventually the lads, it's twigged with them to be like, oh yeah, I do get that now. It's like Steph, for instance, missed a few weeks. He comes in and plays Tuesday, and he was brilliant. You know, it's what we've needed. And that's, again, it's all credit to Bees for keeping him on side. Yeah, because that's a tough job.
Yeah,
it's not easy.
Definitely, especially when you've got quality players and a small squad. It is. But no, wish you all the very best with for the rest of the season, Dave. And just last one.
Go on.
Which I've asked a couple of times now. I've had some good answers on this one. So, 3 people from different sports who you'd like to pick the brains off. So they can be from very different sports, avenues, coaches, whatever,
Oh, right, okay. So yeah, I've read a really good book, and I liked it. I don't know if he's still alive actually, but Bill Walsh. The Score Takes Care of Itself. Anyone wants to read a good book, read it. Robbo recommended it to me. It's one of the best books I've read. He's a San Francisco 49ers coach years ago, and took them from bottom to champions after year after year after year. It's all about how he does it, how he sees it. Yeah. I'd love to pick his brain. Yeah. I'd love to sit with Michael Jordan and have a chat with him. Yeah. After watching that documentary, you think,
unreal.
Wow. Unreal
mindset's just out of this world, isn't it?
Yeah, unbelievable. And obviously one more, I'd love to sit and have a good chinwag and a pint with Jurgen Klopp as well. I think that'd be nice, wouldn't it? Yeah. Pick his brain about a few things.
I think do you know what as well? I think he'd be the type. I think he'd be quite. If you come across him, I think he'd be quite open to just doing that. He just comes across as a decent, genuine. I don't think there's any
secret as well, is it? It's just, again, I think with him, probably just honesty in it.
Yeah, it was another good book. I give you a copy tonight. That Phil Jackson.
Yeah, that's the other one. The 11 Rings.
He's just proper the Zen master.
Yeah.
Brilliant. So
fascinating stuff's all different ways and means, isn't it?
Yeah. Anyway, this isn't Waterstones and this isn't a book recommendation. So on that note, we'll wish Dave all the very best for the rest of the season, mate. Pleasure to have you on. Thanks for having me down, mate.
Yeah, cheers, mate.
Top man. Thanks.